Hello everyone. A single strike has changed everything in the Black Sea. Ukraine has blinded a key Russian radar system. Crimea is now dangerously exposed. No early warning, no protection, and attacks can come from anywhere. Stay with us, because this moment could reshape the entire war. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are breaking down a major development from the Black Sea region. Ukraine has reportedly destroyed a key Russian radar system. This radar was responsible for monitoring air and sea threats. Its destruction has serious consequences for Crimea. Radar systems act as the eyes of modern warfare. Without them, defenses become slow and blind. This strike is being described as strategic, not symbolic. It was not about explosions alone. It was about removing awareness. Crimea relies heavily on layered air defense networks. Those networks depend on radar coverage. When one critical radar goes down, gaps appear. Those gaps can be exploited by drones, missiles, and aircraft. Military analysts say this changes risk calculations overnight. Russian forces now have less reaction time. Command centers must rely on secondary systems. Those systems are weaker and less reliable. Ukraine has focused on targeting infrastructure, not cities. This approach aims to stretch defenses thin. Crimea is especially important for logistics and naval operations. Any exposure here matters. This is why this strike is being closely watched. It signals a shift toward precision and disruption. In the next sections, we will explain how this happened. We will also explain what comes next. To understand the impact, we must first understand the role of Black Sea radar. These systems monitor airspace and maritime movement continuously. They detect drones, aircraft, and incoming missiles. They provide early warning to air defense units. Without radar, response times are delayed. Delayed responses mean higher chances of successful strikes. Crimea's defenses were built assuming constant radar coverage. This strike breaks that assumption. Reports suggest the radar covered a wide operational zone. It helped coordinate surface-to-air missile systems. It also supported naval awareness in the Black Sea. When such a system is destroyed, coordination suffers. Individual units begin acting independently. That creates confusion and inefficiency. Ukraine has increasingly focused on electronic and intelligence targets. Rather than hitting random locations, it targets key nodes. Radar stations are high-value targets. They are expensive and difficult to replace quickly. Repairing them requires time and specialized equipment. In a conflict zone, that is not easy. Even temporary outages can be exploited. Drones can fly lower and closer. Missiles can approach with reduced detection. Psychological pressure also increases on defending forces. They know they are vulnerable. This is why the radar strike matters beyond headlines. It directly affects battlefield dynamics. The question many are asking is how Ukraine managed this strike. Official details remain limited for security reasons. However, analysts point to several possibilities. Long-range drones are one likely option. Ukraine has improved its drone technology rapidly. These drones can evade radar and strike fixed targets. Another possibility involves precision-guided missiles. Such weapons rely on intelligence and timing. Targeting radar requires accurate location data. This suggests strong intelligence gathering. Satellite imagery may have played a role. So may local reconnaissance assets. Radar systems emit signals that can be tracked. Those emissions can reveal exact positions. Once identified, they become vulnerable. Ukraine has shown patience in selecting targets. Rather than frequent attacks, it chooses key moments. This maximizes impact and surprise. The strike also highlights coordination between units. Launching, guiding, and confirming success takes planning. This was not an isolated action. It fits into a broader strategy. That strategy focuses on weakening defenses before major moves. Crimea is central to Russian operations. Any degradation there has ripple effects. This is why this strike stands out. Now let us look at what this means for Crimea itself. Crimea hosts important military bases and supply routes. It supports naval operations in the Black Sea. It also serves as a logistics hub. With reduced radar coverage, all of this becomes riskier. Aircraft movements must be more cautious. Naval deployments face increased uncertainty. Supply routes become easier to target. Even routine operations carry more danger. Defending forces must rely on backup systems. Those systems often have shorter range. They also provide less detailed tracking. This creates blind spots. Blind spots invite attacks. Ukraine can test defenses with drones. Each test gathers more data. Over time, vulnerabilities become clear. This forces defenders to spread resources thinner. More air defense units are needed to cover gaps. That reduces concentration elsewhere. Morale is also affected. Personnel know early warning is limited. This increases stress and fatigue. Strategically, Crimea becomes less secure. That does not mean immediate collapse, but it does mean increased pressure. Pressure shapes decisions, and decisions shape the next phase of the conflict. International reaction to this development has been cautious but focused. Military observers recognize the strategic significance. They note that radar losses are hard to hide. Even if repaired, trust in coverage is reduced. Allies of Ukraine see this as proof of capability. It shows Ukraine can strike defended assets. It also shows learning and adaptation. Russia, meanwhile, must respond carefully. Escalation risks wider consequences. Ignoring the strike invites further attacks. Replacing radar systems takes time. During that time, vulnerability remains. This creates a window of opportunity. Ukraine may choose to exploit that window. Future strikes could focus on logistics or command nodes. Each successful operation compounds pressure. This is how modern conflicts evolve. Not through single decisive battles, but through cumulative degradation. Radar destruction is part of that process. It reduces awareness. It increases uncertainty, and it forces difficult choices. The Black Sea region remains highly contested. Control there affects global trade and security. That is why this event matters beyond the battlefield. It is not just about Crimea. It is about shifting balance and momentum. Another critical aspect of this radar strike is timing. Military actions are rarely random. They are chosen for maximum effect. This strike appears to come at a moment of heightened activity. Operations around the Black Sea have intensified. Naval movements are being closely watched. Air defense systems are under constant pressure. By removing radar coverage now, Ukraine increases uncertainty. Uncertainty forces slower decision-making. Slower decisions reduce effectiveness. Radar outages disrupt command and control chains. Information arrives late or incomplete. That delays authorization for defensive actions. In modern warfare, seconds matter. A delayed response can mean a missed interception. This is especially true for drone swarms. Small drones can overwhelm defenses. Without early detection, defenses react blindly. This favors the attacker. Ukraine has invested heavily in asymmetric tactics. Rather than matching firepower, it targets weaknesses. Radar is one such weakness. It is stationary and detectable. Once destroyed, replacement is difficult. Temporary mobile systems may be deployed, but they offer limited coverage. This creates operational pauses. Pauses can be exploited. That is the strategic value of timing. This development also has implications for naval operations. The Black Sea Fleet depends on situational awareness. Radar supports tracking of surface and aerial threats. Without full coverage, ships operate at greater risk. Missiles and drones can approach with less warning. This may force changes in patrol patterns. Ships may stay farther from shore. That reduces operational reach. It also limits support capabilities. Ports in Crimea rely on secure approaches. Reduced radar coverage complicates port defense. Supply vessels become more vulnerable. This affects logistics chains. Logistics sustain military presence. Any disruption there weakens overall capacity. Naval commanders must now plan conservatively. Conservative planning limits initiative. Ukraine benefits from this hesitation. Even without constant attacks, pressure remains. The threat of unseen strikes shapes behavior. Insurance costs and risk calculations change. This extends beyond military actors. Commercial shipping monitors regional stability. Any perception of increased danger matters. Thus, radar loss has economic echoes. It affects confidence in security. Security underpins operations. This shows how a single strike can ripple outward. Information warfare also plays a role in this event. Public awareness shapes perception. Perception influences morale and support. News of a radar strike spreads quickly. It signals capability and intent. For Ukraine, it demonstrates reach. For Russian forces, it highlights vulnerability. Even limited details can have impact. Silence can be interpreted as uncertainty. That uncertainty fuels speculation. Speculation amplifies psychological pressure. Modern conflicts are fought in mines as well as terrain. Radar destruction fits this pattern. It is technical yet symbolic. It shows defenses are not impenetrable. This can affect troop confidence. Confidence matters in prolonged conflicts. Lower confidence reduces effectiveness. Ukraine has leveraged information carefully. It releases selective details, enough to inform, not enough to reveal methods. This balance protects future operations. Meanwhile, analysts dissect available data. Each analysis reinforces the narrative of exposure. Narratives influence international opinion. Opinion influences policy discussions. Thus, the strike resonates beyond military circles. It becomes part of a broader story, a story of adaptation and pressure. Looking ahead, the key question is what follows next. Radar loss alone does not decide conflicts, but it opens possibilities. Ukraine may probe defenses more aggressively. Test flights and reconnaissance could increase. Each test gathers valuable information. Over time, patterns emerge. Those patterns guide future strikes. Russia may accelerate repair efforts. It may deploy alternative systems. Electronic warfare could be increased. However, each response has limits. Resources are finite. Protecting one area exposes another. This is the challenge of stretched defenses. Crimea requires constant coverage. Maintaining that coverage under attack is difficult. Ukraine's strategy appears patient. It degrades rather than rushes. This prolongs pressure. Prolonged pressure forces strategic choices. Those choices can shift priorities. Shifting priorities can create openings elsewhere. Thus, the radar strike may be a precursor, not an endpoint. Observers will watch for follow-up actions. Patterns matter more than single events. And this event sets a pattern. In summary, the destruction of a key Black Sea radar is significant. It reduces early warning capability. It increases vulnerability in Crimea. It affects air, sea, and logistical operations. Its impact is both physical and psychological. Radar systems are central to modern defense. Their loss creates cascading effects. Ukraine's focus on strategic targets is evident. This reflects learning and adaptation. Rather than broad attacks, it chooses precision. Precision maximizes impact with limited resources. Crimea remains a focal point of the conflict. Any change there matters. This strike changes calculations. It forces defensive adjustments. It creates uncertainty. Uncertainty favors the attacker. International observers understand this dynamic. They see radar destruction as a serious development, not a headline stunt, but part of a wider campaign, a campaign aimed at degrading capability over time. As the situation evolves, monitoring responses is key. Repairs, redeployments, and countermeasures will follow. Each move reveals priorities. Each priority reveals strategy. This is why attention remains high. The Black Sea remains a critical theater. If you found this breakdown useful, like the video. Subscribe to the channel for clear analysis. Share this with others following the conflict. And comment below with your thoughts.